Hello, this is video 3 for Math0302, beginning Algebra, Chapter 5, Section 4. It says in the next two examples are binomial squares. The result is always a perfect square trinomial. Okay, so it looks like a plus b squared is a squared plus 2ab plus b squared, and a minus b squared is a squared minus 2ab plus b squared. Now, a lot of people ask, do you need to memorize these formulas? The answer is technically no, but you do need to memorize how to get these. So the process here is I'm going to square the first term, which gives me a squared, square the last term, which gives me b squared, then I multiply these two together, that gives me ab, and I double it, and that gives me the middle term. The same thing happens for a minus b squared. Square the first, gives me a squared. Square the second, gives me plus b squared. Be aware that it's always plus here. Then we multiply these two together. A times negative b is negative ab, and then we double it, making that negative 2ab, and that's the middle term. This is how I memorize how to do these. It's honestly a whole lot easier for me to memorize the process than to memorize the formula. Okay, let's see how this works. Let's look at 4x minus 1 squared. Okay. I'm going to square the first. 4 squared is 16, and x squared is x squared. Square the last while leaving some space here. That gives me a plus 1 at the end. Now, what I like to do is I do this in my head usually, but if you need to, write it down. 4x times negative 1 is negative 4x. And then double that, in other words, double this number here, that gives me negative 8x. There you go. There's your answer. Now, if you absolutely have to, I don't recommend it, but if you absolutely have to because you just forget how to do this, take this, multiply it out as 4x minus 1 times 4x minus 1, and that will give you 16x squared minus 8x plus 1. Now let's look at 2x plus 5 squared. I'm going to do the same thing as I just did. I'm going to square the 2x. That gives me 4x squared. Square the 5. That gives me 25. Now notice that these are both positives here at the end. Now double this. Multiply these two together, and that gives me 10x, and then double it gives me 20x. So it gives me 4x squared plus 20x plus 25. And there's your answer. Now again, just as before, if you absolutely have to, you can do 2x plus 5 times 2x plus 5, and that will also give you 4x squared plus 20x plus 25 when you FOIL that. Okay, so a perfect square trinomial has a first term that is a perfect square, the coefficient and the variable. A middle term is twice the product of the two terms, and a last term that is positive and is also a perfect square. So the first term here, everything is a perfect square. The last term is a perfect square. And then the 20x is made up of multiplying the first and the last term multiplied together, doubled. Okay, that's what they mean by perfect square trinomial. Now the question becomes, what is a perfect square? Perfect square numbers are the number resulting when a number is squared. 1 squared is 1, 2 squared is 4, 3 squared is 9, 4 squared is 16, 5 squared is 25, 6 squared is 36, 7 squared is 49, 8 squared is 64, 9 squared is 81, 10 squared is 100, 11 squared is 121, 12 squared is 144, 13 squared is 169, 14 squared is 196, and 15 squared is 225. Okay. I do expect you to know what perfect squares are. Okay. So be able to recognize these numbers and understand that they are perfect squares of these numbers here. Alrighty. I'm going to go ahead and end the video here, and I will see you in the next one.